You're welcome to the second season of the Naija Filmmaker, a podcast for us to talk about Nigerian filmmakers, their films, and how we can build a diverse and functional industry. I'm your host, Selegot. On this episode, my guest is Bem Pever. He's a filmmaker and producer. He has worked on projects like Halita, Silent Tears, and Fourth Republic. We talk about how he selects directors, crew roles that are in demand, and his other filmmaking ambitions. If you're a new listener, you're welcome and I hope you enjoy. Hi Bem, you're welcome to the Naija Filmmaker.
Thank you.
All right, can you introduce yourself?
Okay, so my name is Bem Pever. I'm a filmmaker, film producer. I create content. I do fiction and non-fiction filmmaking, basically.
Okay, that's nice. So yeah, looking at your filmography, you've worked on a number of projects, including Sons of the Caliphate, the second season, Halita, Silent Tears, Color of Rage, and Fourth Republic. Can you talk about your journey to becoming a producer?
Okay, so basically, I've always wanted to make films, do entertainment, and the work of media in general. So if I can remember clearly, back in the day in my secondary school, I've always, been part of my drama group. I actually was leading in the drama group. Yeah. So after that, I went to school to study theater arts, and I was fortunate enough to get to a school where I was studying both theater and film at the same time. So I took a particular interest in film making. And one of the reasons why I took interest in filmmaking is because I wanted to do like socially conscious films, films that, tell, that define who we are, films that, tells the African stories. So I took that upon myself that, okay, since this medium is a very powerful medium of telling stories, I'm going to use that medium to, to communicate our values, our culture, our essence, who we are as a people, and all that. So that was one of the things that, got my attention into, filmmaking. And so after school, I got to Abuja. I actually wanted to go to Lagos because, in Nigeria, Lagos is where the whole film making industry is. But I stayed back in Abuja and I met with this lady called Sebari, and she was just such a very wonderful producer. And, we began working together. I received a lot of trainings from her, and, from one project to the other, and today, in summary, that's my journey of becoming a producer.
Okay. Can you break it down for us? Like, what does a producer do?
Okay, so the job of a producer is, it's a lot. But what I do basically is to put together a production from development of the concept to hiring a director, to getting the crew together, the cinematographer, the costumiers. I mean, all the people that work in behind the scene, getting them, and then alongside with the director and other creative team will get actors and and have a production. But one of the key aspect of a producer is to find money. Make a film, make money from that film, get it to the audience. That's one of the key, things that a producer does. So it's kind of like involves everything from concept to the finished product to when the whole film gets to the audience. That's what the producer does. So he's involved in every aspect, and that's what I do when I come on a project. whether it's a project that I have initiated myself,
Yeah.
or it's a project that others have initiated and I'm called on to produce. I'm usually there at the very, very, very beginning. And so we go into the aspect of pre-production, development, pre-production, to production, to post-production, to marketing and PR, to distribution, to making the money for the film. So basically that's what the producer does.
Okay. You mentioned that you look out for kind of socially conscious films.
Yeah.
And what else do you look for in a script?
Well, at the core of filmmaking, it's entertainment.
Yeah.
Is storytelling. So I look out for a script or a content that is able to tell a story, and it has to be a good story. So that's one of the things I look out for. So apart from saying, okay, I'm looking out for something that has to do with what message are we trying to pass across, or what issues are we trying to deal with in this particular story, I look out for, is this story entertaining enough to keep an audience to watching. So that's one of the things I look out for. Then, and mostly in recent times, you know, back in the day, you are so excited about making film. You're looking at the art aspect of it. But in recent times, maybe the past 3 to 4 years, I'm conscious of, if the story is entertaining and the story is passing across a message, is the story commercial enough to attract the audience to want to watch it? And I'm conscious of my audience, the Nigerian audience, and the African audience in general. I'm conscious of this type of audience. What do they want to consume? What should I give to them to consume? Those type of stories are what I look at for. So I'm particular about the commercial aspect of a story. If this story can sell, if the audience will be willing and will be ready to watch. And there's so many things, so many type of stories that comes to mind when it comes to that aspect.
Yeah. So I mean, like Nigeria, the type of films we make, sometimes a director calls you to produce for them, and sometimes you follow a story from basically the story idea to the development. When you go through this route of kind of starting with the story and then looking for a director, what do you look for when you want to select a director for a project?
Okay, so usually there are two things I look at. I look at the past work of the director. If it falls into what I'm trying to do, I go with that type of director. And then the second thing is also look at the vision of these directors. Of course, there's some directors that have never done anything before. Yeah. You've never worked with them before. You've never even seen any of their work. But having a conversation with them about the kind of project you're doing gives you that knowledge that, okay, this type of director is fit to work for a project like this. So I give an example. I'm working on a story at the moment, which I'm about to shoot in the coming week. Yeah. And I started up this project since the beginning of last year, 2020. And I couldn't find a director that, that is particular with that type of journey. And so I kept the story for a very, very long time. I kept going back and forth. I tried to shuffle around to see the type of director that I can work with, but it was really difficult until the beginning of this year when I came across a young man. And just by sitting down for like 30 minutes and having conversation with him, I know that, okay, this is the type of person that can do this story, because that journey is something that is new in Nigeria, yeah. But he's been doing stuff like this with short films. So I felt like, okay, he can deliver the story, and we're into pre-production and everything is really going well. So those are the kind of things that you look for. There's certain directors that are good with drama. Yeah. There's some that are good with action. There's some that are good with comedies. So you look at for such people. So it's not everybody that is interested in doing a comedy, for instance. It's not every director. So if you have a comedy story that you want to tell, you can go and call someone who is an action director to to come on board. Yes, there are certain directors that are all around, they can do everything, but there are particular ones that they are action directors, they are comic directors, they can do drama, they can do romance and all that. So those are the type of things I look out for when I'm trying to select a director. And most of the time, because I do a lot of take Halita and Sons of the Caliphate, for instance.
Yeah.
Because I'm working with a client who is a studio, So alongside with the client, you choose the director that you're working with, because they are also people that know about filmmaking. So you sit down together and put heads together and say, okay, this director will work, this director will work for the story. So sometimes it's not just my job alone, but it's my job together with the studio or the network that is involved with the story.
Okay. So like, talking about how you work, can you kind of break down your process with kind of getting ready for a film or TV series production?
Okay, so one of the things I can say is that for me as a producer, pre-production aspect is very, very important for me. After the whole process pre-production is important, that's one. But before that, the story, creating a story, like going through like a whole series of workshop before a story comes to life, is also very important for me. So if there's an idea, I don't just say, okay, take this, give it to a writer to take this idea and go ahead and write it. Or we'll sit down and have that discussion. No, we go through like a process of having a workshop. So even if it is just like two, between me and the director and the writer, we'll go through that process of having a workshop. And then we can also get other writers to sit down and have like a whole intensive workshop and create a story, create all the characters, create the plot lines, create the essence of the story from beginning to the end. Yeah. So that process is usually very key, because that way you are breaking the story and making sure that all the angles move very well. So that's one process. So the second process is the when script is ready. So it's a pre-production process, which is very important, because when you plan well, when you put your pre-production together like really intensively and really well, you find out that at the end of the day you have a production that goes smoothly. Now pre-production takes time, from getting locations to doing auditions and hiring actors, to putting together the production design, the art department, getting like every head of department to break down the script, and then you have your structure of a production board, where everything is clear, it's on the board, and you're seeing the process or whatever you're going to do or are going to realize at the end of the day. So that aspect of pre-production is very, very key for me. By the time I am satisfied with my pre-production, I'm sure that production usually goes smooth. In as much as, during production as well, there are a lot of things that can go wrong because of, one, the nature of the way we shoot in Nigeria. We don't have studios yet. So you are depending on people's homes or depending on public places, which is usually very, very difficult. So those type of things can make production, go wrong. But when you plan well and you put your aspect of pre-production properly, you find out that at the end of the day, that goes, smoothly to a large extent. And then you now go into production. But before that, one other thing that I do all the time is to communicate the vision of the story or the idea of what you're trying to do to every crew member. Because I working with crew in the past, we find out that a lot of crew, especially the technical crew, try not to read scripts. So what you do is you sit everybody down and everybody reads script, you read together. And so that way everybody understand what's going on. So even someone who is in the sound department understand what to a large extent, the type of costume or type of environment that we're working with. So that way it makes things easy.
Yeah.
You know. So basically, that's the process. So for me, my pre-production is usually very important. If it's a feature, say 90 minutes, I like to take, say, about 3 months. If it's an intensive feature, at least 3 months of pre-production after the script is ready is usually very key, because that way you're able to, lock down actors when you're supposed to lock them down, lock down the crew that you're supposed to lock down, and and all that.
For TV series, they tend to kind of go on longer than most feature films. How do you try to keep the cast and crew focused on, delivering their best?
Well, so having a production of, say, about 5 months, which is like what we did on Halita for just production. But before this, we had enough time to do our pre-production and have a writer's workshop. But having a production like for 5 months, which you're shooting like every day back to back. One of the things we try to do is to, not to put too much pressure on the crew and the actors during this process. Oh. Yes, there's also the fact that you need to deliver on time to the network, because most times you start airing. I mean, you're shooting. While you're shooting, it has already started airing.
Yeah.
So you need to constantly feed the network with content so that the airing can continue. So there's that pressure. But one of the things I try to do is not to keep too much pressure on the crew, so that way everybody is relaxed, because it's 5 months of intensive work, of shooting a lot of scenes per day.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is about dividing crew into two. So one crew come and work at a certain time and go. The second unit come and work at a certain time and go. Or the 2 units are working at the same time, and one is working somewhere else, and then another unit is working somewhere else. So if I have a particular number of scenes from here, and I have another particular number of scenes from here, and I join them together for that day, I know that, yes, I've achieved something, great, great for that day. So these are the strategies that you put in place. And the other thing is, you also try to accommodate most of the crew, especially the key departments, so everybody is in the same place. And people are not traveling from far to come to location. That's another thing. And then something else we do as well is that you have like about 80% of your locations, 80 to 90% of your locations in one place. So you have your offices in the same place. You have your bedrooms, your living room, all the locations like pretty much in like one single place. So that way you are not traveling. The travel time is taken out of the production. So things get easier when you do that.
Okay. So have you figured something out that reduces the stress? Because honestly, like finding locations for productions is quite stressful, because at the end of the day, you said you have to, kind of plead with private citizens to allow you to shoot. So is there something you've figured out that has made it easier for you?
Yeah, having all locations in one place make things easier. So I go to a building and I get everything in that place, and then you bring in all the furniture, all the props, all the set elements. You bring in everything in that same location. And you're shooting in that same place. So it makes things easier. It's kind of like in the absence of studios, that type of system work, because you don't have studios yet in Nigeria. So you depend on getting all your locations like in one place. So you get your art director or production designer to set the whole place up based on the vision of the producer and the director. So you set the whole place up, and it makes things much easier. I think that's one of the easiest way to go about it. Saying you want to start going from places to places is, no matter how you do it, it's hectic.
Yeah.
It's very hectic. But having said that, there's also the limitations of finances. So you want to get like a duplex, a big compound, especially in a place like Abuja where real estate is a big business and it's very expensive.
Yeah.
You want to get a place like that in Abuja, it's usually very expensive. And then you can't even get the place where you have everything. So what you do is you have to get this place and bring in everything in the space. So that's a lot of money. So that's the challenge with going with that method. But then if you have enough budget, why not? That's just the best way to go about it once you have enough budget.
Okay. So, I mean, most of our films are kind of shot indoors. I know there's the issue of generators shooting outside, but, what do you think about, like, kind of, I guess, working with the city council on having, like, filming permits where it's possible for you to shut down streets and like make your film properly? Do you think, like, what do you think about that?
Well, so in the past, right, it's been difficult shooting in the open space. Not as much as in Abuja. I mean, you can just walk to a street and film. You can just walk to a public place and film, even without speaking to people, which is not right. And producers do that all the time. But in recent times, what I have been doing is each time I'm doing any production, I get the Nigerian police involved.
Yeah.
So I have that relationship with them. And for each project, it's a question of sending across a letter to them. So sometimes they even give me police who accompany me to all this, or during all the whole process of filming. So that way it makes things easier.
Yeah.
So the authorities are aware that this is what you're doing. Most time they'll ask you for story, for script, what was the type of story you're doing, and all that, which is okay, which is understandable. And then after that, they just give you. So I have that relationship with the Nigerian police that I've been working with in the past couple of years, and that has always helped. When you enter a street and you see a lot of crew members, but then you see a police there, people just tend to naturally behave themselves.
Yeah.
So they're no issue. So that method has been working. Has been working really well. So as a producer, one of the things you do with your city is you try as much as possible to have good relationship with authorities. And then the other thing again, which I do all the time, is whenever I am shooting in communities, like in local communities or rural areas,
Yeah.
I have formal discussions with either the chief of a particular community or the local authority that is involved in that community, whether it is on documentary, whether it is on film. You have that relationship with them, or you take proper permission from them, and it makes things easier. So that way you are to a large extent protected. And one of the reasons why I do this is because we carry a lot of heavy equipment.
Yeah.
And when a film crew enters your streets, everybody notices what's going on. So it's best to just have the authorities aware that something like this is going on. And then what I also do, the third thing I also do is that, which is one of the things I've started doing in the last couple of years, is before I shoot on any street, I inform the members of that street that film is going on this street. So if you see a film crew, if you see a film set around, just know that nothing is happening, because sometimes we're there till night.
Yeah.
And you're seeing lights everywhere. So it's just normal. It's just best to just inform the people on the street. You go door to door to inform them, this is what is going on. Since we don't have such organized industry in Nigeria, where you have certain agents that are dedicated to doing such things.
Yeah.
We just, as a producer, you just do it yourself. And that's what I normally do.
Okay. Want to hear stories. Have you kind of had any like nightmare scenarios? We don't need to call names. But
Yeah, sure. I'm not going to call names, but I've had situations where you have challenges with couple of times, several times, where you have challenges on, and this is on different productions, where you have challenges with actors. So one of the things I do is, before I go into any production with actors and crew, we must sign contract.
Yeah.
But you find out that, so most times these people don't respect the contract is signed with them.
Yeah.
And so they can just go ahead and do whatever they want to do, especially for instance, things like coming late. So I have my call time for, say, 8 o'clock for actors to come, and then they are just there, they're not coming, which is a big challenge. And then sometimes when they come, they want to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
They want to act the way they want. The director tells them, this is how I want this role to be interpreted, and they don't want that. You also have situations where costumer gives them clothes. This is what you need to wear for this scene based on the story that is being interpreted. And they're like, no, I want to wear this type of costume, or I want to carry this handbag, or I want to carry this type of makeup.
Yeah.
Which doesn't tell the story itself. So you experience this type of challenges, but in recent times I've found ways of dealing with these actors. So you have that mutual understanding to try to explain to them this is a story being told and being interpreted in a certain way, so they need to understand. And if you waste my time, money is going.
Yeah.
So that's very important. So in recent times, I've had that understanding with a lot of actors. These challenges are there all the time. Even with the crew, you have challenges, little challenges here and there. So I mean, in answer to your question, yes, I've had quite a number of challenges with actors on the set. Sometimes, to a large extent, you will say it is because of certain, because of the way the industry generally is structured.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's no discipline. There's no disciplinary measures put in place for when things like this happen. So because of that, you find out that people just come and they want to behave anyhow. But like I said, trying to be diplomatic and also trying to be firm has worked for me in the past couple of years in dealing with actors. Yes.
Yeah, that's nice. So how about with aspects of the production that maybe like bad things, just so it's not about you not preparing well enough, but just kind of things falling through. Maybe like, let's say a camera fell down on the ground or something. Like, have you had some of those kind of experiences? What's the worst one?
Yes, a lot of that's, so I was saying earlier on that there's so many things that can go wrong during production. Like the example you just gave, a camera just from, it's not anybody's fault. It's not like the crew were indisciplined. It's just that it happens. A camera just fall, or a bulb just got burnt, and it delays production, or a missing radio mic, a missing lapel. I've had situations like that. We're filming and somehow there was a missing lapel mic, so we had to get another one to continue, and that got missing. So you have to buy a new one. I've had situations where some people came and stole lights and tripod on set. So you have those type of things, going on. That's why Security is very important.
Yeah.
Putting security in place during production is very important. And then you also have health issues as well. An actor just fell sick. You can't, it's not their fault.
Yeah.
A crew member just fell sick. These things happen all the time. And one painful thing is that once these things happen, it cannot continue. Because you have to stop. Except you have other scenes that you can shoot without this particular actor or without a particular crew, then you can go ahead. So a lot of things can go wrong during a production, which is kind of like the same with a lot of other industries. It's not just unique to filmmaking. It's just that because filmmaking and the way we make films in Nigeria is that everything is on the go. We have to, when we start, we're on need. We have to keep going. And we have to finish, because the more you're wasting time, the more money is burning. So you want to keep going to finish on schedule and on budget. And that's that has always been my one of the key things I always say. I have to finish this shoot on budget and on schedule. Very important. Yeah.
All right. So what role do you think guilds should play in kind of providing structure to this industry? So for example, like the Actors Guild, maybe guild for producers, directors, cinematographers, like how important is that?
Yeah, so the guilds are very important. In like the Actors Guild of Nigeria, I really don't know what they do, because most time when I hear anytime they're in the news, I'm hearing mostly political stuff. So I really don't know what they do. But there's a lot that they can do. Training of actors, of young ones, and trying to bring them up. That's key. I've had several auditions of young people who want to be actors, and then when you see them, they're just nothing to show. So that's one thing that they can organize as well. And then putting like a structure in place of how actors are supposed to be working, of how the relationship between producers and actors, putting those type of structures and trying to bridge that gap between the production, the actors, and possibly like a studio or a network, trying to bridge that gap. The guilds are supposed to, to be doing that. But I don't hear of such things, going on. There's so much the guilds can do, like the Producers Guilds of Nigeria. I'm not a member, but hey, I don't really hear what they do.
Yeah.
So the Directors Guilds, these are sectors that need to put certain structures in place, and it can help the industry generally to grow.
Yeah, and I guess something I've noticed is like we're pretty much still treating the film industry as a very informal industry. So I guess something that the the Actors Guild can do is, because of like the membership fees they collect and that collection of actors, it's something that they can, organize healthcare for their members, because we realize that most times creatives or filmmakers, maybe once their prime is gone and they are not actively working, it's kind of, they become poor and can't take care of their bills.
That's one thing that the guild can do, like seriously, because most times you hear this actor is sick, needs this medical attention, and then they end up putting their pictures online, the pictures on TV. This person needs attention, needs financial attention, financial help for their health reasons. These things, if we structure the industry well, if we structure the welfare of both people working behind the scene and the actors themselves, you won't have such stories, so much of such stories. So I think that structure, like you said, the way we treat the industry is very informal. So everybody is just on their own, working, doing what they can do, and trying to, gather money or trying to make films. But if, to a large extent, we need to be structured. The industry needs to be structured so that it will be attractive to young ones who are coming up as well.
Yeah. So what do you think should take the lead in structuring the industry?
Well, I wouldn't say the government really, because I really don't like talking about Nigeria and anything that has to do with Nigerian government and getting involved with, because once that begins to happen, it becomes political. So I feel like the producers, we the producers ourselves, can put a structure to these things. The directors can put a structure to this thing. The actors, the gears are there. It's just to put a proper structure and synergize. Once that structure is done, they can get the government possibly involved to help in whatever way the government can help.
Okay. So let's say you're in a production and things are going bad, you're behind schedule, money is going. How would you kind of try to deal with strains on the budget and schedule? How do you course correct?
That's a really difficult question, because I've never been on a production where money is going and I can't finish the production because of money. I've never been on such a production. And the reason is because before I come on board on any project, I talk money first. Very important for me, because I've heard a lot of stories around the country of, we started this production, it didn't finish because of money. I've heard, so to avoid that, I talk money. So if the budget is whatever amount is, that's why I earlier on talked about pre-production. Whatever amount is, I structure it in such a way that it works within that budget.
Yeah.
So anything that is bigger than that budget, I throw it away. Either we don't make the film, or we make it within that particular budget of what we have. So if, say, I have a 10 million naira budget to work with, I can't start thinking of, I want to burn a house, or I want to have an aeroplane to burn down or to crash, because it's not that budget.
Yeah.
So it's rather we don't do that than say we're doing that and at the end of the day the budget is lacking. So I can hire a particular say actor, or a particular DOP, or a particular whoever, because my budget is limited by this. I can't go and say I want a Denzel Washington when I have a 10 million naira budget. That's not possible at all.
Yeah.
So I try to work within the budget. So I've never, and then within schedule as well, because that's one of my primary jobs is to work within budget and within schedule. So I've never really, I can't remember having a situation where I'm working, doing a project, and I get to a point where budget is going, and I know that this budget cannot, because this budget cannot finish the film, because I've already planned for all of these things, and I try to work within, that particular budget. But in the events that something like this happen, the best way to go around it is to cut down on spending and see what you can spend within what you have. I think that's, for me, that's what I would do. Cut down on spending, or stop the production and go look for more money to finish it.
Okay.
Which will be very bad. Will be very bad. When you start a production, it should finish. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
When you start a shoot, that shoot should finish. If you schedule for, say, you're doing it for 1 month, you should finish it in that 1 month. It's very important. That's what makes a good producer.
Yeah.
You finish your job.
Okay. What do you think currently is the most difficult thing for a producer to handle in Nigeria right now? So from development, production, marketing, distribution, what's the most difficult task of a producer?
So in as much as making film, the production aspect is very difficult and very important. I found out that by the time you finish making your film, to sell the film is one thing that's really, really difficult. So I would say that is the aspect that for now, it is really difficult. So you make your film, and for you to make a good film, you have to spend good money to make a good film.
Yeah.
Now, when you spend that good money to make this good film, then you want to sell this good film, it's a problem. One of the why it is a problem is because so we have over 200 million people in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And we have less than 60 theaters, which is in itself is a problem. There are certain cities in Nigeria that don't even have a theater at all.
Yeah.
So how would they consume this film that you want to sell? Because that's one of the key ways through which you can sell your film. So that's one. So it's a very, very, very big problem. So you make your film of say 100 million, and then you have just how many theaters to sell this film to, for this film to be screened in. So it's a big problem. Yeah. And then secondly, you go to network, and this network are paying you like how much? Just nothing. You go to Euroko, these networks, I don't want to start calling their names, but then you go to all these networks and they're paying you nothing to buy your film. Yeah. And sometimes they request that they want to buy it for, they want to buy it exclusive. And then you go to Netflix, and then Netflix is giving you, just how much, So you are not able to recoup even the money that you have spent. But like I said, making a good film takes money to make a good film. That's the truth.
Yeah.
If anybody tells you otherwise, well, it takes money to make a good film. I know that you can use a good small budget to make something really good, but it's not everybody that will be able to do that.
It's the exception.
Yes, there's some exceptions. So it's making a film and selling the film. The selling of the film is the difficult thing.
So how do you think producers can best prepare themselves? That's ignoring all factors that are out of their control.
So keep your budget as low as possible. Keep as low as possible. Keep your budget to a level where you'll be comfortable to do a good film, and then keep enough budget for marketing and publicity, because people need to hear about your film. People need to be interested in going to watch your film. So that's very important. So you keep your budget as low as possible. Keep good money for marketing and publicity, and find new creative ways of distributing your film.
Yeah.
There are different ways through which people screen films now on aeroplanes. People do private screenings to screen their films and raise money, recoup their money. So you just find different creative ways. Instead of going through the conventional ways of getting back your money, you find the other different creative ways through which you can make your money back while still looking at these other mediums. Because the primary aim at the core of it is that you want people to watch your films.
Yeah. You started out as a producer. Are there other parts of filmmaking that you want to explore in your career?
Yeah, so I'm going to start directing very soon. Actually, this year, I have a story already, which I'm working on. So I'm going to start directing. Yes, I've directed in the past, but it was a short. So I'm going to go into directing this year, which is one of the things I'm definitely going to do. And going forward, I'm going to be doing that a lot more. And that's one. And I'm also exploring distribution.
Yeah.
Because that's another aspect I want to explore, like properly distribution of films. Because I find that it's one thing that is difficult for filmmakers in Nigeria. So I want to really explore it and go through it and see how I can, have like a proper distribution network where I make films and it can be distributed using this medium. So those are the two aspects that I'm exploring. Wow. And maybe I will explore an art department, because it's an aspect that I love very much as well. Art department, looking at the whole production design department as well.
Yeah. So, you are a producer. You normally kind of contact heads of department. You're the one that kind of fills up spaces on a film production. What is one production role that you think a lot of people are overlooking, that there's like a need for a lot of creatives to kind of get into that space?
There's a lot of this department. Focus pulling, for instance. In Nigeria, well, I know one, and there are not so many of them out there.
Yeah.
Which is one area that is very important, but people are not really exploring it. Production design, very big department. In fact, it's one of the biggest departments in filmmaking. Apart from production itself,
Yeah.
the producers department, art department, production design is the biggest department in filmmaking.
Yeah.
And you really don't have so much people dealing in that department.
Because I mean, I guess once we start making our films in studios, it's the production designer and his department that will create
Yes, exactly.
what you work with.
Yes, exactly. But you don't have a lot of such people. So I feel like that's one aspect that we need to fill in a lot. People who are from that whole department, from the production designer, the art director, the set dresser, the props master, the carpenters, the painters, that department as a whole.
Yeah.
We need to fill it in. Like, have people who are professionals in that department. Very key department, but you don't have so many people. And when I say you don't have so many people, I'm talking of people who know what they're doing. Yes, there are a lot of people there who say, I'm a production designer, I'm an art director, but when you bring them on board, like graphic artists,
Yeah.
you don't have such people in film, So we need more of such people as well. That's one. That's two. Third, the legal department is also a department that you don't have so many lawyers, entertainment lawyers in Nigeria who are like, this is what I do. I'm an entertainment lawyer and I work with entertainers or filmmakers. You don't have a lot of that. What you have mostly is, I know there are entertainment lawyers here and there, especially in Lagos. What you have are people who are lawyers and who practice general law, and they just help you out with design, putting together the contract and the legal aspect of everything. But I think we should have entertainment lawyers who, because we are having too many issues of copyright issues now.
Yeah.
Issues of breach of contract. So we need people in that sector to sit up, or have more people in that sector, which we don't have at the moment. And that's the reason why people can just come and do anything and get free with it. So that's aspect to is lacking. And then there are a lot of other little departments here and there that people are not really paying attention to. What people want to do is, everybody wants to be a director, everybody wants to be a producer, everybody wants to be a cinematographer. Even the cinematographers, you don't have a lot of them, who know what they're doing. Just a few hands. The sound guys, you don't have so many people. So the industry generally needs people who, because it's a very big industry, especially like here in Abuja or this region. When I mean this region is, here and the whole of northern Nigeria. We don't have such people, but you have a lot of talent around here. So we need such people to, even gaffers, you don't have so many of them.
Yeah. That
you bring this person on board and they know what they're doing. What happens most of the times is with gaffers is that the DPO, the DOP is the one doing mostly everything. Give me this light. That is what I want, and it just does everything, which is not supposed to be. To be so. So these are some of the departments that are lacking in our industry.
Okay. Our industry is growing, and there are obviously things that we need to address in order to kind of grow, in a more structured and planned manner. What is something that you think that you would be happy if like it improves? Something that we can improve as an industry, as individuals. What's one thing?
We need to improve on our story. Story is king for me. Writing a good story, having a good story, and writing it. So there is having a good story and there is writing a good story. Very important. So I think we need to improve on that. You watch Nigerian films and they lack story. They lack plot. They lack defined characters. They lack interesting characters with a journey, characters that are going somewhere. They lack such, the characters don't have depth.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's one aspect that we need to really give attention to. People these days are concerned with the beauty of how the camera is moving, how my locations are beautiful, which is good. It's really good because it makes for a good film. The technical aspect, it makes for a good film as well. But then story, because a lot of people that go to watch film, they want to watch a good story.
Yeah.
You know, and stories that have depth. And when I say stories that have depth, I don't mean it has to be serious stories. Yeah. It can be a comedy, but it should have depth. You know, it can be a political thriller, but it should have depth.
Yeah.
It can be a love story. It should have depth. So I think it's one aspect that we need to improve on in the industry, our stories. And then when you have a good story, have a good director who should be able to interpret that story. Because sometimes you have a very damn good story, but you have a shitty director who will come and do, you don't know what the story is all about again.
Yeah.
So that's very important. Then the other thing is that training. We need training. The industry generally needs training from every aspect. Actors need to be trained. Crew need to be trained in the various aspects of filmmaking.
Yeah.
So what we have most of the time, people just come and they're beginning to learn on the job. They're learning, they're seeing how others are doing it. That's how the industry has survived anyway.
Yeah.
But for us to go far, people need to be trained. It's
So
not
just workshops, actual schools.
Yes, go to school. Go to people need to. Yeah, workshops are important. Workshops are good. They train people as well. That's that too. But people can also go to school to say, I want to be a writer. I can take a course in writing. I want to be a director. I can take a course in directing. If you can afford to say, I want to go to like a film school to go and study, or go to an acting school to go and study, you can take courses. People need to, it's not enough to just say, I have the talent of acting, or I have the talent to have an eye for camera, so I can just come and see what the other guy is doing until one day I pick up and I become a cinematographer. No, people need to be trained for us to go far. If you look at most of the people that are really doing well in the industry, they got trained. Yeah, they got like really good training. So it's important. People need to go to school and go and get themselves trained in filmmaking.
Okay. So there's this scenario: you're on a plane and it's about to crash land on a desert island. What's one film that's basically you want to be stuck on this island with that you'll be happy to rewatch over and over again?
One, there are a lot of them, really.
Let's choose one.
But the one that comes to mind, I would like to watch The Two Popes. Yeah, I'd like to watch The Two Popes. It's a very interesting story. It's very rich in dialogue.
Yeah.
It's very rich with very good acting and very good set design. But more to that, it has a strong statement as well, and it's something that happened in real life. I like stories that things that happen and they are made into film. So I would like to watch that anytime.
Yeah.
anytime. And I've watched it again and again, The Two Popes. I've watched it again and again and again. So that's one film. If it is one, I'll tell you that's one film that I will like to, to watch.
Keep watching.
Yes, to keep watching.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, you mentioned that you like things that happen in real life that are made into films.
Yeah.
And I don't know, for me, what I've noticed is with Nigeria, we have a lot of historical characters, but most of the time when these films are made is below par. What do you think, apart from story, what do you think we need to do more? Is it our research?
Yes, so research is key. I give you Fourth Republic, for instance. When we're making Fourth Republic, and at the end of the day, most people that watched Fourth Republic, especially the legal people, lawyers, barristers, people who are in the legal team, when they sat with us and watched it, one of the things they said is that we had our research done well, and that's the truth. We did a comprehensive research on Fourth Republic because before writing the script. Yeah. So that's one thing that we need to do, research. I remember back a couple of years back, we were doing a story on Queen Amina of Zaza.
Yeah.
We went into an intensive research, even though we haven't made the film yet, but we had we had to travel to Zaria a couple of times. We had to go to a lot of libraries to go and find a lot of things about Queen Amina to be able to write the script. And when the script came out, it was really beautiful. It was really nice. So research is very, very important. There are a lot of historical things that we have not even started scratching. From our pre-colonial period to colonialism, to neo-colonialism, to even 10 years back, 20 years back, stories of our military regimes, stories of our democracy, stories of about women riot, stories of, there's so many of them that we have not started exploring, which I think we need to explore, but we need research. So that's very important. Then there's also our literature that we haven't explored at all.
Yeah.
At all. I know they did things for Lapad, and Half of a Yellow Sun, and a couple of literature. I also know that recently Mo Abudi is doing something on the secret lives of Baba Shege's housewives, and is it Dance of the Forest or Death and the King Horseman? Wole Soyinka.
I think it's the second one.
Yeah, Death and the King Horseman, yes. They're doing that, which is very good, which is great. We need to do more of that. We have so many of them. We have a lot of Achebe's work, we have a lot of Larotimi's work, we have a lot of Soyinka's work, we have a lot of Ni Osondora's work, we have a lot of Chimamanda's work. We have, our literature we have our poetry that is a lot. We have our folklore, our folk tales that are so many of them that are out there that we can explore and put on the international scene, but we're not yet doing that. But before we do that, we need research so that it doesn't look, it needs to look it needs to have a certain level of elevation. Yeah. It needs to have a certain level of grandeur to be able to compete favorably at the international scene. Yeah. And that's very important. Which are the things we're not doing? Again, when you ask producers, they go back to there's no budget. And it's true. There is no comprehensive budget to do, but we can't stop trying.
Yeah. Okay. How can people keep up with your work? Do you have a website, social media?
Well, I have social media. My company is called Take 7 Media. I have social media. So if you just search for Take 7 Media, you see a lot of my work. And then some of my works that are on Netflix. Sons of the Caliphate is on Netflix. You can watch it. Fourth Republic is on Netflix. You can watch it. Halita is playing currently on Africa Magic. You can watch it as well. So that's basically.
Okay. Thanks, Bem, for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
We have come to the end of this episode. Please remember to leave a rating and a review. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at SelectGolfFilm, and the podcast also on Instagram and Twitter at the Naija Film Pod. See you on the next episode. Have a good one.